Hello everyone. I hope all of you are doing good. In the previous lectures, we had discussed about the uplink shared channels. Today, we will discuss uplink control information or UCI. Here, we are going to understand the different uplink control information types. Well, let us first know about what is this uplink control information. UCI it is there to assist physical layer procedures by providing the following types of physical layer control information. First one is downlink CQI. CQI means channel quality indicator. It is used to assist the adaptive modulation and coding and channel dependent scheduling of the downlink transmission. The CQI indicates highest modulation and coding rate that can be supported in the downlink. So it is an indicator which indicates about the highest modulation what we can use in the downlink as well as the coding rate supported. Based on that, uplink will uh, modulate and set the coding rate because the uplink and downlink should be compatible, right? That's why. Next is HARQ acknowledgement. HARQ means hybrid automatic repeat request acknowledgement. It is associated with the downlink HARQ process. And scheduling request SR. It is used to request radio resources for the uplink transmission. As you already know, radio resources will be provided by the downlink or the enode B. That's why this scheduling request is used to request radio resource for the uplink transmission. So what we are discussing here, these are the different control informations which are there to assist the physical layer procedures. Remember that. Next is pre-coding matrix indicator or PMI. It is for downlink MIMO transmission, that is downlink multiple input multiple output transmission. And the next control is rank indication or RI. It indicates the maximum number of layers that can be used for spatial multiplexing in the downlink, while this pre-coding matrix indicator or PMI indicates the preferred pre-coding matrix. Okay. These two controls deals with the multiple input multiple output transmission. Now the next point is the channel mapping for control information. In this figure you can see control information UCI is mapped to two channels, that is the physical uplink control channel and physical uplink shared channel, which has three different physical control channels. There is only one physical control channel defined for the UCI, that is PUCCH. The UCI can also be mapped onto PUSCH when the UV has been assigned uplink radio resources. So when uplink radio resources are available, then you can map UCI to PUSCH. Otherwise, it should be mapped to PUCCH. Okay. The next topic we have is channel coding for uplink control information. Here, what kind of coding takes place so as to incorporate uplink control information we are going to see. The channel coding for the UCI depends on whether it is carried on the PUCCH or PUSCH. Different types of control information are encoded differently, which allows, excuse me, individual adjustments for transmission energy using different coding rates. There will be different types of control informations, and these different types of control informations will be encoded differently, which allows individual adjustments of transmission energy using different coding rates. And we can have different types of UCI. that is UCI on PUCCH, UCI on uh, PUSCH, like that. First, we'll understand UCI on PUCCH. When the UCI is transmitted on the PUCCH, there are three channel coding scenarios are considered. First one is encoding CQI or PMI, but not HARQ acknowledgement. That is, we are encoding the channel quality indicator and pre-coding matrix indicator, but not the HARQ acknowledgement control information. Where you controlling, we are sending either this one or this one through encoding, and the encoding is done using 20, n CQI code, that is 22 the CQI number, the number of bits in the particular CQI, with code words being a linear combination of the 13 basis sequences. This you can see in the next table. And AI denote AI, where I stands for 1 to n CQI, that is number of the bits, as the input channel quality bits, you can say. And the encoding is performed using this equation, which is BI is equal to, that is encoded bit is equal to summation n is equal to 0 to capital N CQI an into mi comma n mod 2, where I takes the values 0 to 19, that is 20 basis functions. These are the 20 basis functions. The second encoding scheme considered is encoding HARQ acknowledgement and SR. Here, the HARQ ACK bits and SR indication are received from higher layers, and each positive acknowledgement is encoded as a binary one, while each negative acknowledgement or NAK is encoded as binary 0. There is one HARQ ACK bit for single code word transmission and two HARQ ACK bits for two code word transmission. This is provided through spatial multiplexing in this particular encoding scheme. Okay, some of the point I have skipped over here. Okay, not written. Next is encoding CQI per PMI and HARQ acknowledgement. Here, both CQI, PMI and HARQ acknowledgement are encoded together. When CQI, PMI and HARQ ACK are transmitted in the same subframe, the following coding scheme is used. That is, with the normal cyclic prefix CP, the CQI PMI is encoded using the 20, NCQI code as in the previous equation, and then HARQ ACK bits are added at the end of the resulting code word. First we'll generate this encoding, and then the acknowledge hybrid automatic repeat request acknowledgement bits are added at the end of this encoded signal. Next is with the extended CP, the CQI or PMI and HARQ acknowledgement are jointly encoded using the same 20, n code as the for encoding CQI, as that for encoding CQI or PMI alone, with n as the sum of SQI, CQI, PMI bits and HARQ ACK bits. Here, the encoding takes place by combining both the CQI and HARQ ACK. Here it is added at the end, but in this particular with extended CP, both combined and then encoded. Okay. channel coding for uplink control information. Okay, in particular UCI on PU CCH. Likewise, UCI on PU SCH and UL SCH data is there. It is left for your self learning. Okay, you can refer the detailed notes and you can study that. Next topic we have is uplink reference signals. In LTE, there are two types of reference signals defined in the uplink. The first one is demodulation reference signals. The second one is sounding reference signals. Demodulation reference signals are transmitted on uplink resources used for coherent demodulation of data and control information at the E node B. So these are signals just like clock signal you are transmitting at the transmitter end, and receiver should be synced with that clock so as to demodulate the signal. As PU-CCH cannot be transmitted simultaneously with PU-SCH, there are demodulation reference signals defined for each of them. That is, there are demodulation reference signal for PU-SCH and demodulation reference signals for PU-CCH. No combined or single reference signal is given for this both channels. It is PU-CCH will have its own reference signals and PU-SCH will also have its own reference signals. Because of this reason, they cannot be transmitted simultaneously. Next is sounding reference signals. Sounding reference signals are wideband reference signals for the E node B to measure uplink channel quality information for uplink resource allocation. For this reason, sounding reference signals are given. They are not associated with the transmission of PU SCH or PU CCH. The reason here for having two types of reference signals in the uplink is because unlike the downlink, the demodulation reference signals in uplink are only transmitted on subcarriers assigned to the user equipment and therefore cannot provide sufficient wideband channel quality information for resource allocation, particularly over the resource blocks that are not allocated to the user equipment. Unlike the downlink, the reference signals in the uplink cannot be transmitted at the same time as user data. Because of this reason, we have different reference signals such as demodulation reference signal and sounding reference signals. Next we have is the reference signal sequence. Both the demodulation reference signal and the sounding reference signal are defined by a cyclic shift of the same base sequence. So using the same base sequence, cyclically we can shift the sequence and we can use as demodulation reference signal and sounding reference signal. The generation of the base sequence depends on the reference signal sequence length, which is this is the reference signal sequence length MRSSC, which is equal to m times the number of blocks allocated in the subcarriers, okay, multiplied by m, and this m varies from 1 to the maximum of uplink resource blocks allocated. Okay, as you can see, m is the size of the resource blocks assigned to the user equipment. Here, depending on m, we can have two conditions. One is if m is greater than or equal to 3, that is user equipment is assigned 3 resource blocks or more, the base sequence is based on prime length or z of 2 sequences that are cyclically extended to the desired length. So using some z of 2 sequences, we are going to have the cyclically extendable length of this particular base sequences. now this is for m is greater than or equal to 3. If m is equal to 1 or 2, the base sequence is of the form e to the power j psi of n pi by 4, where n varies from 0 to the number of or the length of reference signal subcarrier minus 1, and the value of psi n is given in the reference one. Okay, the reference I will indicate at the end of the lecture. And the reference signal, multiple reference signals can then be created by different shifts of the same base sequence. As the Z of Chu sequence has the property that cyclic shifted versions of the same sequence are orthogonal to each other, generating reference signals in such a manner can reduce intercell interference for the reference signal transmission. And therefore, the reference signal in the uplink is always user equipment specific. Okay, this is all about the uplink reference signals and reference signal sequence. Next topic is random access channels or RCH, that we will study in the next video lecture.